Well, good morning once again. It's been a while since I brought you out here to our little playground, a little piece of ground that I come out, usually once a day, and when it's really cold, I come out twice a day, once in the morning and the evening to make sure they have water and feed. I have 2 cows, 1 steer and 1 cow actually, and we're just kind of keeping them through the winter time, and I'm feeding them off of some of these big square bales that I bought last summer, and they are 3x4, 8 foot long, and they weigh about 1,400 pounds a piece, and they're kind of a rascal to handle, but it turns out that they're really pretty convenient to feed if I use my chainsaw. A lot of folks like me that are just feeding 1 or 2 or maybe some horses really don't like these great big square bales because they're kind of inconvenient to handle, and they come off in big flakes, and I have found that my cows are kind of picky, and it's not so much that they are particular taste wise. It happens to be that they get kind of picky because they're full most of the time, so they get to be more selective in what they like to eat. Hey girl, how are you? Yeah. Right. And so they start leaving some of this more stemmy stuff. She thinks I should have some cake for her. She's a kind of a cake hound. So I feed them in this brown bale feeder, and they kind of collapse it. So I took a kind of a redneck approach to it here. They like to push this together and they minimize what they can feed in. So I put this old tire in here to kind of keep her spread apart a little bit. But this is what they leave. It's kind of the coarse, stemmy stuff. And so about every week I come out and I run it through my grinder, kind of an old flail mill or hammer mill grinder, and I grind this all up, and they actually will eat it when it's finally ground. Well, since it's been cold for about 10 days or so, I haven't been out here for a little while, so it's kind of starting to fill up a little bit. So I'm going to take today and bring my grinder up and grind this a little finer, mix it in with some fresh stuff, and they'll gobble that right up. And it's not that it's bad hay, it's just that they're full all the time, so they get to be kind of persnickety. Oh, you see, they'll come up and kind of muzzle through it, but they really aren't all that impressed. You say, where's all the good leaves? That's what we want. He wants all the stems. It's like telling a young child, you gotta eat your broccoli and your spinach. I don't want my broccoli and my spinach. I want the candy. I want the sweet, good stuff. Really not too interested, are they? Let's see, I'd have all of this, half of this feeder. I'd have this whole feeder that I'd end up just throwing out, and they'd bed on it and kind of be a waste. But this minimizes my waste. Now this red-headed steer, he's really not too afraid of much anything. So I kind of got to keep him backed off a little bit sometimes. This is my grinder that I'll use. I bought this back in 2010 to actually maintain the brush and the leaves in this apartment hotel building that I work on. You gotta back off here. But it works well for this too. Push this aside here. Well, you can see I've done this enough around these two that they really aren't bothered by the noise. They just hang around and say, yeah, when you're done, we'll come back and eat. So I'm going to go cut up some parts of this hay bale and show you where I use a chainsaw and why. And then I'm going to mix a little in with this here. It'll give it kind of a little fresh flavor and they'll just gobble this right up. Now as I do this, I'm going to leave this unattended, and this redhead is especially curious. He might come over and bother my grinder. Normally I have this all cut up beforehand, so I just run it non-stop. We'll see how it goes. So those of you that watch me kind of consistently know that I use a lot of Makita, and I have a battery operated chainsaw, 14-inch bar. Well, I've found that when I just break off flakes of this and put it in there, the stems are longer and they like to leave even more than they do. So I've found over the last couple bales that if I cut this into 3 or 4 inch sections, it cuts a lot of this long stem into these short sections, and they leave much less, even though because they're full all the time, they do leave some. So I'd like to take and just chop a couple sections of this, and I'm going to feed it through that grinder, mix it in with what I've already ground, and it'll freshen that up. That redhead, he's just going to walk right in there and say, what's for breakfast? So I do keep this tarp through the summertime, keep moisture off. I've got these poles that I have my tarp fastened to, so I kind of got to work around that the first time or two. See, I just make about 3 or 4 inch sections. this makes nice easy flakes so they're easy to measure off. It cuts up those long stems into shorter stems. I'm going to take and feed a couple of these through that grinder and mix it in with what's already ground and kind of close that feeder up and get them fed. Kind of mix this in and that'll take care of that. Minimizes the waste, makes it usable feed. Like that a little better. Yep. So this kind of helps me in two directions. One, it makes the fibers of this hay a little shorter, a little more palatable, but it also gives me a way to kind of measure out what would be the size and weight of a small square bale. A lot of square bales are in that 60-pound area, so you cut out a section that's equivalent to a small square, and you're not only making the feed more palatable to their taste buds, but you're also allowing yourself to keep kind of a measurement of what they're eating. You know, I like to feed ballparkish, about 30 pounds a piece, so if this is a 60-pound square bale, we're good to go. So this is kind of the small farmer redneck approach to feeding hay. I do find this little Makita cordless chainsaw really workable. I really like it. You could use a regular chainsaw, but you're throwing sparks. And it's not the intention to burn up your hay stack. This doesn't throw any sparks. I keep it oiled up just like a regular chainsaw. But I kind of watch their intake through the temperature changes. But they're good to go for today and probably part of tomorrow because they have all that fresh ground up hay to eat as well. So I throw this fresh hay on top, and you know, they knock loose the leaves and they start to fishing. Well, as those leaves fall down and they mix in with that other stuff that I ground up, they end up consuming it all. But you can see how they kind of fish down toward the bottom because they know that's where the leaves are at, and that's what they really like. So this is pretty small scale approach. I'm just feeding two. If you're feeding one, you're feeding half a dozen. You know, there's a lot of feeders around here that are feeding, you know, thousands of heads. And when I come out here, there is a feeder on the way as well, and this is how you do it on a big scale, but the principle is the same. Well, this is kind of my fix for my desire to be outside. Appreciate you coming along on these little projects that I have out here on our little place, just kind of out here playing. Thanks for watching.